And your tonality is king, because that's all you have. All you have is how you say things, right? So there's a little few tricks, and I actually want to give you guys some of my stuff for free that has really helped me build rapport along the way. It's not like asking what the weather is. It's not, who cares about that? It's really coming in with a dominant presence, like, hey, I'm actually getting back to you here in regards to the request you sent in on Facebook, and I just referenced something. Hey, you said I'm not asking crazy questions. All I ask is like, or all I say is like, hey, you listed that you're in West Virginia. Is that right? Perfect. And were you looking and go into, you got to flow, right? So I just say, hey, were you looking just to cover the burial expenses, or just kind of leave a little extra for the family? Give them two options, right? So you want to keep going. So whatever they say, okay, perfect. And did you have any coverage in place currently? And I'm just kind of fact finding along the way. So I go there, boom, 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 get that information. And if they say they do have anything in place, my instant thing is like, okay, what company is it with? I'm trying to get as much information on what they have now, because maybe I could put them into a better place. Maybe they have a 2-year waiting period. I mean, for final expense, what I've realized is there's so many people that are in a 2-year waiting period. So that's a perfect question to ask. Okay, what company is it with? How much are you paying on it? Is that a term? If it's a term, it's going to go up at some point. When's that expiring? Like things like that. You want to get that information. So you ask that questions. Okay, perfect. Hey, so now the way this works is actually very simple. I'm just an underwriter actually here with the state, okay? So my job is to, one, let you know what options you qualify for based on your age and health, and two, actually shop around all 26 carriers to see which one will give you the best rate, okay? And they'll be like, okay, perfect. And just so you know, Miss Mary, everything's non-medical, so no doctors are coming out to your house, no needles, urine, or blood samples. I'm actually going to be able to get you some answers here over the phone, okay? Perfect. So now to see what options you qualify for, what was your birthday? Go into fact finding, boom, 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 boom. They're giving me that stuff. While they're giving me all that stuff, I'm typing it into insurance syndicates, insurance toolkits, typing it in as I go. What's nice about insurance toolkits is they literally ask all the questions. So it's like, okay, they're on lisinopril. Is it for high blood pressure or angina? High blood pressure. How long ago did they get diagnosed? Like it literally gives you exactly how to do it. Boom, boom, boom. They're doing that. Well, after they get all their medications, I ask all their history, their health history. And if you guys haven't already, like I have a 2-1 call close, like me live doing it, actually making a sale on my YouTube channel. If you haven't already, go check that out. Just look up Johnny Nitafan. But I look up exactly while I'm asking those questions, typing it in exactly what's going to be the best rate, and if it's going to be day one coverage or whatever it is, right? So I do that while I'm asking these questions. I put in like everything that I need. I start asking, like, while I'm thinking of options, and it's kind of gotten like, when you do that, it's the same thing over and over again. So what I've done is, while I'm going over those things that I'm actually going to present to the client and what kind of options I'm looking at this point, I already know if they're looking to go down the burial route or cremation route. So it's either I'm looking at a $3,000 plan or $10,000, kind of in that range, depending on what they want. A lot of times, like, you want to downsell them because they're wanting, hey, 100,000. It's like, what were you looking for that to do for you? Like, why 100,000? I'm just curious. And coming out of curiosity is massive, like massive. That's how you want to come and approach it. Like, you're not interrogative, but it's just curious. Okay, when you say 100,000, I guess, how'd you come up with that? Was it just kind of random or just sounded good? Or I guess, what were you looking for it to do for you? And they'll say, just cover the burial and leave a little extra. Okay, great. So if we were able to find something that was able to cover the burial and leave Tommy a little bit extra, is that kind of what you were looking for? Yes. Okay, great. 25,000. While I'm going through that, typing in all the stuff, and I'm just like, hey, kind of fill me in here. I guess, what got you motivated to start, I guess, looking for life insurance? And I know exactly what I'm going to say, but it's like, okay, like, hey, like, I guess what got you motivated to start looking for life insurance? Like, nobody can see my body language, but all you have is tonality. So strategically putting in pauses, coming in a place of like genuine curiosity, like what got you motivated to start looking for I guess some life insurance? And they'll say it. Whatever they say, I have my pen and paper right here. Pen and paper, you can't see it, but pen and paper right here. Whatever they say, I write exactly what they say down. Boom, boom, boom. I want to make sure that the burial is taken care of for Tommy so that whatever, I don't want to leave a bill. Perfect. So correct me if I'm wrong here, but it currently looks like you were looking to make sure that the burial is taken care of for Tommy so you don't leave a bill for him. Is that correct? They'll say yes. They're like, oh my gosh, she understands me, because it's literally the exact same. Like, it's just whatever they say, just repeat it back. And then, okay, great. So let me ask you this. And this is where the sale is made right here. So if you have your pen and paper, like just write this down. Say, okay, so if we could, I guess, find something that was comfortable for you and affordable for you and was able to make sure that Tommy wasn't left with a bill, is there anything holding you back to see if we can get you qualified today? Once they say yes, it's done. At that point, it's just finding out what's inside the budget. And then you go into closing questions. Okay, great. So now it's called a pre-close for you guys newer to sales. Like, it's just like that the sale is made. Now you just need to present options that are actually affordable inside the budget. So then I go into fact finding what their budget is, boom, 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 or like monthly income. If you use budget, they're just going to be like $10 a month. You don't want to say that. You're really selling value. So somebody can't come in with like $5 cheaper and replace you. But it's coming in really with the value. So when I'm going into the value, I'm like, okay, so you're wanting to make sure that Tommy was able to get his funeral taken care of, right? So, okay, so they're kind of recommending three options here. The company we're going with, hypothetically, say Family Benefit. So, right, so the company we're looking at here is called Family Benefit. Let me just tell you a little bit about them, right? They've been around for a while now, blah, 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 blah. Never missed a payout claim. Payout to Tommy within 24 to 48 hours. Of a payment or of a claim being made, right? So you go into that and you go into, hey, this is level. So whatever anybody says, this will never go up in price. The second thing is there's no 2-year waiting period. So we're actually going to be able to get you some day one coverage. So once you pay that first premium, the policy will go into effect and you'll have the full whatever coverage we pick out today. And also on top of that, it does build in cash value. So over time, if you're ever in a tight spot, you do have access to these funds and you go into there, boom, boom, boom. Here's what a burial will cost. Boom. This is our starter plan and you do it. This and I don't say price at this point. I just say they're recommending three options. The first one, $10,000 plan. This is the bare minimum to make sure that the burial is taken care of so Tommy doesn't have a bill. The second option, a $12,000 plan. Honestly, I don't know what it is. Seems like 90% of our clients are going with this one. This will make sure that the burial is taken care of and Tommy will have a little extra. Does that make sense? And the third option here, honestly, I personally wouldn't recommend this one. I'm actually going to take this one off the table. You're just going to be overpaying for insurance. At that point, I don't recommend that one. We can take a look at it if you like. But the first option here, the $10,000 plan, which will make sure the burial is taken care of. And I'm saying exactly what it does, right? So say exactly what it does. Boom, boom, boom. Do that. I guess one, and I take the 15 off the table. And my closing question is this, I guess, which one would give you the most peace of mind to make sure Tommy's in the best spot? More the 10,000 or the 12,000? I don't even ask him about the 15. I just take it off. That's another way to build rapport. Boom, it's off. Okay, great. 10,000. All right, awesome. Let's just see if we can get you approved and we'll go from there. And then I ask him, what address do you want to mail the policy out to? Another buying decision. And then I just go into the app.
What kind of objections do you hear?
Good question. Is this legit? Is this a scam?
Yeah.
So I share my, this is a part I kind of missed there. So after I ask the medical questions, I'm like, okay, go ahead and grab a pen and paper and let me know when you're ready. And they're okay, great. So go ahead and write this down. My name is Johnny Nitafan. My number is this, the same one my wife and mom call me on. Laugh. And you gotta, like, honestly, you just, like, when I'm on the phone, I just get into agent mode. And so I have the same jokes. I have the same things. I say the same stuff. So what I say is, okay, go ahead and write that down, and go ahead and write down my national producer number here. Okay. So with this number, you could actually go to the Department of Insurance website and find me. That way, you know who I am and that my license is active. Okay. So it's blah, 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 whatever. And I just go ahead and in that. So I think social, big one. That just shows you didn't have enough rapport. I think that's a big one, to be honest. I think everybody gets hauled up on social and banking. I'll give you some of my tricks in terms of banking because I've started to get really good at that one. It's some people are not going to give it up, but you just really have to. I go into my character mode and just go with it, right? So in terms of social, I give out. I'm like, hey, so I don't say what is your social, right? So I don't say that. It's a trigger. Like, people get triggered by that. And right when they get triggered by that, when they say, what's your social? Like, I don't know, it's just triggering. So I go into, like, who's your beneficiary? I go through the whole first page of the app. So I'm like, hey, what address is it? What state were you born in? Are you a U.S. citizen? Do you have any coverage in place? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, great. And your social? I just go in. I don't say what is your social security number? I just say, okay, great. And your social? And sometimes they're like, do I have to give that? I'm like, yeah. So there's a couple reasons why. The first one, obviously, in the event something, God forbid, were to happen to you, the way they'd actually process the claim is Tommy would actually send me a copy of your death certificate, and they'd match that social security number up to your social, or they'd match that and make sure that the benefit is actually attached to that. The second thing is that actually checks if you're actually medically eligible. They'll just run a brief check on your medical records there. So that's kind of why we need it. So like today, what happened is she's like, I'm not giving it out. I'm like, okay, great. No worries. And I just start asking some of the application questions. Some applications you can do this. So I started asking some more the medical questions. I height and weight, medications, put that in. And I was like, okay, great. And your social? And she gave it. Because it just shows she doesn't have enough rapport. So you just got to give some rapport, build that rapport. Now, when it gets to the banking, I probably shouldn't give this out, but I'm going to. So when you get to the banking, so you go and let me ask you this: what's a good day for an effective date for you? They say, boom, okay, the 3rd. Okay, great. Most of our clients actually do that as well. So we can definitely do that. And just to see if you qualify for that savings plan, because some insurance, and this is a side note, some insurance companies do like it. Like, what I realize is that if they don't qualify for family benefit and there's a Royal Neighbors, Prosperity's more expensive. And they'll take Direct Express, but Royal Neighbors will take banking. So I'm like, hey, just to see if you qualify for that savings plan. And I asked this earlier in the script, to be honest, right after medical. I say, you do have an active bank account, correct? And they're like, yeah, perfect. So usually I don't run into that as much, like going through a Royal Neighbors app and all of a sudden getting hit with a Direct Express. It's just a waste of time. I did it before and it was just horrible. And so, because then you have to go through a whole nother app. So I already know they have a bank account. Okay, great. So, and what bank do you use? They'll say, whatever, right? Traditions Bank. Okay, great. And you got that in West Virginia, right? Yeah. Okay, great. I don't know what it is, but it seems like everybody in West Virginia has that bank. Is that a popular bank? And they'll say yes. And like, they'll start going on about it. Oh, it's the best bank ever, whatever. And while I'm doing that, guys, routing numbers are public. So if you didn't know that, routing numbers are public. Go and look up Traditions Bank in West Virginia routing number. Boom, boom, boom. Pulls it up right away. I don't know what it is, but it seems like everybody in West Virginia actually is using that one. And they're actually a preferred vendor here. And the routing number automatically populates here is 111-000-111. Is that correct? And they're like, if they say yes, boom. Okay, great. And the account number if they're like, I don't know, okay, go ahead and grab a check and verify that really quick for me, just to make sure that we have the right bank on file here. Boom, boom, boom. And then right when they verify it, you just ask, okay, great. And the account number.
Right. That's good.
And so honestly, like, it's increased that so much. A lot of times there are honestly people that you do get hung up on, right? You do get people are like, I'm not going to give that, whatever. Right. So you do have that, but it's a great way for me that I've found that it's worked, honestly. And if they're giving more pushback, I'm like, hey, totally understand. But let me ask you this. And this happened on Friday, actually. This girl was giving me so much pushback. I was like, okay, I guess let me ask you this. Is this something you really want? Like, at the end of the day, my job here is to make sure Tommy's in the best possible position, right? So I don't care, honestly, if you give this or not, but is this something you really want? Like, I'm genuinely curious, because I know you said you wanted the burial to be taken care of. I know that you said that you don't have any coverage in place. I know that you said all these things, but like, is this something you really want? Because if not, like, it's all good. It's totally all good. Like, we could just move on. You don't have to get this, but like, is this actually something that you want?
So
And
this
she's
is
like,
what you do
yes.
at the end when you're pushing. They're pushing back. They won't buy. They give you a bunch of hemming and hawing about the bank or the social. This is what you use, right?
Yeah, I'm just like, is this genuinely something that you want? Like, do you want to make sure? Because at the end of the day, like, I hope you can feel this. Like, I care about you. And I want to make sure Tommy's in the best position. And if you don't want it, we can get off the phone right now and it's all good. But
notice his tone too, guys. It's not like, do you really want this? Because you're wasting my time. Notice that he doesn't have that tone. And that goes back to what Johnny was saying on the tonality. Like, he sounds sincerely curious, and it doesn't sound snarky. And that's so important in telesales, guys. I can't express it enough.
Yeah, like I'm genuinely curious, because one, I'm not wanting to force it through and get a chargeback. I don't care. Like, I'm not on any leaderboards anymore. I'm not on any of that. Like, I genuinely don't care about that stuff. Like, I'm genuinely just like, is this something you really want? And she's like, yes, I do. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, I can promise you and assure you nothing will be taken out until the 3rd. And she's like, so what? So this is the scenario that happened. This is a great thing that I think a lot. I wish I recorded this. I was like, I called one of my buddies up right after I did it. I'm like, dude, if I could have had that, like, I went in 3, like, I don't usually like try like crazy to make the sale, to be honest. Like, I genuinely don't. I just felt she really wanted it. And like, no, she wouldn't buy. Like, she's literally like, I talked to 6 other agents earlier, like today and a couple days ago. So she was kind of window shopping, but I can tell she really wanted it because of the way she was sounding. So I was like, okay, like, let's push a little bit harder. So I asked her that, and she's like, no. So like, so we started with the 10,000. It was $100 a month, and she had cancer. So it's like, I can't really do anything. Like, I wish I could. There's not really anything I can do. Started at $100 a month. We get to the social, and she's not really giving it. She ends up giving it after I built some more rapport. Get to banking, and she's just like, no, like, I just really need to think about this. And I'm like, okay, is this something you really want? So I go through that. She's like, yes, I do. Perfect. So I go back, and I'm like, okay, let's just start a little bit lower. You can always add later. Let's just start with 8,000. It's about $71 a month. She's still giving me a little bit more pushback. I'm like, okay. And so she's like, we can do it. We just have to start on the 22nd of March. She's like, I get paid 4th Wednesday. I'm like, that's 40. When I was doing the app, I was like, that's almost 45 days out. Yeah. Like, that just shows she can't afford it. Like, it's just like, that's the first thing that I picked up on, because I'm like, she wants it, but she's wanting it to be like way later. Like, why is she delaying it so much? Because she's getting paid in 2 days. Right. So I'm like, something's not right here. So I'm like, okay, let me ask you this. Is $70 something you can actually afford? Or can we just make sure Tommy's in the best spot? I'm sure that you'd agree having something in place would be better than having nothing. Would $51 be most affordable for you? She said, yes. as I think about it, it really is. I'm like, okay, so why don't we just go ahead with the starting on the first be fair for you? And she said, yeah, that works. Okay, great. And what bank do you what bank do you want to use? And she just gives it. And I think like really like understand, these are things that like you're not gonna understand until you actually do the reps. But it's like what I realized in that is like, it's not like does she want it or not, but it's like, is it affordable for her?
Yeah.
And she said 100. Like I clarify right after like the sales made. Is this something that if the refrigerator goes out, it's so simple, but is this something if the refrigerator goes out that you'll actually keep? If she says yes, then like, okay, cool. Like, let's keep going with it. But like, she was giving me all the good flags and all of a sudden a red flag. And I'm like, okay, let's actually figure this out. Like, what's going on here? So it's just because she simply couldn't afford it. And sometimes honestly, like if you're buying something, it's honestly kind of embarrassing going down.
Right.
You have to give them that permission, because at the end of the day, like a sale is a sale is a sale. A family helped is a family helped. And like at the end of the day, like $200 less AP for a client that's actually going to keep the policies worth it. And so what I realized in that is like, it's not about it, does she want it, but it's like finding something that's affordable.
Yes.
Because right when we like got into the affordability range, she was all for it.